Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 111 of the Toonami Escape podcast. Tonight we have B-Dubs, who literally just turned off his mic.
No, I'm here.
Yep, that's B-Dubs. C-Kohler.
Hey guys.
And it's Seda.
Hey, it's me.
I wanted to take a bite of sandwich.
And tonight we've got some hot off the presses news. The one thing you've all been waiting for. Broly is canon.
Oh God, shoot me.
Cool.
I heard a rumor that somebody was like thinking maybe that's a female Broly.
No, we already did female Broly.
You'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, because Broly is extremely popular now. Even though he was... we now have to deal with him forever.
His ratings are maximum.
They are.
Hey, maybe he won't suck this time because they're redoing the story completely.
I mean, he might be a totally different character that just shares the same name, you know.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's also going to be the legendary Super Saiyan and also just disgustingly huge.
Oh, he's always disgusting. I mean, I can't even talk about that because we haven't gotten to it yet.
Right.
See,
he's going to be disgustingly huge.
I always thought that Broly was like an American fascination. I didn't know that Japanese people cared.
I mean, it's somewhat... I guess he's somewhat popular in Japan, but I imagine he's much more popular overseas.
Yeah, I mean, he is very much beloved by the American fan base to a degree that makes literally no sense whatsoever.
It makes perfect sense.
If you're a teenage
It's literally
edgelord.
everything people in America love about Dragon Ball Z just taken to the nth degree, which is screaming and muscles.
It's an OC character made canon, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just Broly's kind of boring.
That's exactly what an OC character is. It's like something with no imagination. Hey, look, I drew Goku, but I made his hair bigger.
And he has a scythe.
I completely forgot what 99% of fan
I literally
fiction
just
was like.
described Goku Black. Fuck. I didn't.
God damn it.
I didn't even intend to do that. I just thought, what is the most OC weapon a character could have? It's the scythe.
Yep.
Sorry, RWBY. You know it's true. I find it interesting that the poster for that movie says it's a Dragon Ball Super movie, which I guess means what we're probably going to do is just have Super's going to actually just come back like it was on break.
That is weird.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, we've all been saying that Super is going to come back, that this is going to lead into, the next series, or Super 2 or whatever.
Is Toonami going to have to figure out a way to put it on the air? Because it's going to be, like, between the two series?
They might actually have to.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how they deal with the next series, because there's, still a year's worth of content left?
Yeah.
So they can see... exactly what's going to happen with the new series first, and then,
is Toei going to be a complete ass again with the rights? Probably.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the dub of this movie in 2024. Also, they announced Part 4, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what's interesting is Funimation announced Part 4, but DeMarco and Toonami have said nothing.
Wait. Are we talking JoJo's now?
Yeah.
You mean Viz announced it and then Toonami announced it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Funimation? I meant Viz.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, only Viz announced it so far.
They had a Facebook graphic.
Yeah, I think Toonami announced it on their Facebook.
And it was notable
because
they misspelled Bizarre.
Yeah, they misspelled Bizarre.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, God.
Hey, that's kind of a weird spelling. That word has always had a weird spelling anyway.
Anyway, fucking Diamond is Unbreakable this year! Yeah!
Anime in Japan. Just to be clear, not on Toonami.
Simultaneous.
Wait, what?
You're
talking about Diamond Unbreakable. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the new anime JoJo that's been announced.
Golden Wind also this year!
Yes. No, that's not coming over just yet.
I know.
But yeah, Diamond is Unbreakable coming directly after. You're getting your wish, Grex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing it to part 3, which had like that test dub, and then like a year and a half or more of silence,
And then part 1 and 2.
yeah, like so going straight into it. I guess that's as good as you can get.
Yeah,
And so this has never been dubbed before.
Nope.
No.
In
Awesome.
fact, I believe this is its first official English release outside of a sub over here, period.
Great.
Also, they're bringing the manga over, and I will pay obscene amounts of money for that.
Oh, they're bringing it. Okay. Now I can.
So the manga didn't have an official release in English
No.
before? So it's all like fan
I believe,
translations or whatever?
I believe only Stardust Crusaders ever got an official manga release in the United States.
Huh.
I wonder if like
'cause
JoJo is like kind of blowing up right now.
It is.
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, JoJo was kind of one of those, like really long-running things that that for some reason never really made it over. Like Ippo is like going on forever in Japan, like literally forever. They're on chapter like 1,000 now.
They are in
But
the 4 digits of chapters.
Yeah, I mean they're closing in on chapter 1,100, and it's still never gotten an American release.
Great.
But also just semi-interesting is, I don't even remember the name, but the voice actor they got for Josuke is like this fresh face. He has like a role in like a Marvel game, and that's like about it.
Billy Kramitz, I think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
Which is, I think that's cool.
Yeah, me
have
too.
some
Yeah.
fresh blood. We have no idea what he'll sound like, or if
He
he'll
can
be
knock
good.
it out of the park for all we know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of the guys we're used to have been getting older, so
Yeah.
it's like they can't keep going forever. They got to start bringing in new guys.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
And then here's Chris Sabat as Okuyasu,
Well, he's never going to go away.
doing his Kuwabara voice.
He's even just the location difference, being recorded in California, and he lives in Texas. He's just too busy,
hmm
I have a hard, unless this character is just a side character, but
I mean, there are certain things I think he'll come back for.
like I do know sometimes Funimation actors will lend their voices to California-based things, games or anime or otherwise. It's not typical.
Well, I mean, you got to get paid sometimes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Anyway,
Also-
I'm super excited. That premieres August 11th.
Yep.
Yes.
So basically going straight into it, and that's cool.
I was,
Yeah.
and I want to kind of go back to what I was saying a moment ago about, like, I didn't know that Toonami had officially mentioned that JoJo Part 4 is coming, because now that they have, there was a tweet like today or yesterday from DeMarco saying they actually have their next show that they wanted to announce at Anime Expo, but they couldn't because of legal reasons.
Yes.
I was assuming they were talking about JoJo Bar 4, but now that Toonami has already mentioned it, he must be talking about a different show.
He must be
Probably.
talking about the Pop Team Epic replacement.
Yeah, but also it could be. Well, let me look it up here real quick. First of all, he said it was going to be announced at Anime Expo, so it's very likely an anime.
Is there anything?
It was also in reply to a comment about an original.
Yeah.
Or no, never mind. The comment was talking about originals, but the question specifically was just on the next show. And then DeMarco responded, our next show was supposed to be at Anime Expo. So kind of not specifically replying to the originals part of it. So who
I
knows?
think he also said expected at Dragon Con now.
No, he said they're going to be there,
Oh.
but the announcement might be before then. But yeah, so they have
He said within a
something
couple
in the
of weeks.
pipeline.
He said that somebody asked, like, when will the next show be? Would it be at Dragon Con or sooner? And then his response was something like, expect it within weeks.
Hiramatsuri dub.
So, I mean, no, that's not going to happen.
It should.
So the
You
Pop
know
Team
that show is
Pop
good.
Team Epic is the next show to end, right?
Yeah.
That's not a rerun, yes.
Yeah.
I think like Space Dandy only has 4 episodes left, but I have a feeling that's just going to loop endlessly now.
It's just like, welcome to the back, or hey guys, Kai is back.
I do think it's kind of amusing how like back in 2014 they cut off the second half of the block just because it was just repeating shows, and now we're sort of getting back to that where it's just like Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy there. Adult
Swim was just like, well, actually, we were wrong.
Yeah. Whatever, what are they going to do with their budget? I kind of hope, though, honestly, that they will finish showing Space Dandy and then slot in something new, because that's still possible.
That'd be nice. I mean,
Space Dandy only has like 2 or 3 episodes left, right?
4.
I mean, you don't want to slot in something like too new all the way back there. Like
no. Again, like I always say, getting a new show just means that everything else just moves down.
Right, but I mean, you don't want to have like stuff being on too late at the same time.
Yeah,
especially if they're premieres.
Personally,
I know you and I don't give a shit, but
Yeah.
I like going to bed at 30 minutes earlier. I think this is the right amount of new show slots.
Okay, I see. Well, I don't know.
I mean, if everything like bumped up half an hour, then yeah, absolutely.
Depends on the show for me. Like, gosh, dude, I remember us all staying up till like 4 or 5 in the morning every week.
Watch Inuyasha.
Yeah.
There was times in like my college
that was relaxing
where I like literally it's like Toonami time, and then when Toonami was over, it's like cool, it's light outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man. Was there any other news from this week?
They did debut a inspiration video called "Growing."
Oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was all right. It was funny to see the Pop Team Epic show up in it.
Mm-hmm. Just like how do we okay?
Yeah, how does this work? How do we insert shots of this show into this?
Get something inspirational so we can show Pococo wearing skis.
There you go.
And also they're dancing. And that's about the only things we can use from this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just kind of interesting. This is kind of looking ahead a little bit, but next year, Hunter x Hunter, My Hero Academia, and Dragon Ball Super like all end.
Don't forget Black Clover.
Also, even JoJo Part 4 all end like next spring, summer.
Yeah.
So, like that's a long run of shows, like long running shows. JoJo, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
My Hero. I know that just started for us, but those all end like in basically summer 2019 from May to August. So it'll look quite different like next September.
I mean, My Hero has another couple seasons coming though, right?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We might go straight into season 4 at that point.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Yeah, but
I mean, if
JoJo they might, depending on how fast Viz can get out a dub of Part 5, or if that's in the wheelhouse, it's possible they go straight from 4 to 5.
Yeah, that'll be
like it'll still be airing, but they can still be dubbing and working on it.
Yep.
And then
you asked Black Clover ends in December, so a little bit earlier than the rest.
If it's December, it's definitely moving into 2020.
Oh yeah, because I always do the dates, not including the marathon, because you never know. Right. Like there was no July 4th marathon this year, just because it landed this week
on a Wednesday.
But there's there's usually at least 2 in December. You can guarantee
Thanksgiving and Labor Day,
also
and
like usually
December.
Veterans Day is guaranteed.
So next spring and summer, we're going to be looking at a completely different block.
Yeah.
Don't forget that they'll probably re-air Fully Coolly Alternative once after they air it. So, and if that'll probably get replaced early next year as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. I mean,
so that's literally like 1, 2,
that's half the block.
3.
And meanwhile, Naruto will be holding steady.
And then there's Naruto.
I mean, that's got another 6 years left. I mean, my God.
The fucking Crypt Keeper.
That thing is never going to die. I'm just trying...
Whacking something.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out exactly what they would, like, put where Hunter x Hunter is, because everything I could think of would be, like, a massive downgrade.
I mean...
Megalobox.
Viz did get Megalobox, and I think we might see that eventually.
I've heard good things. It looks really cool, like the art style.
I have a friend
Yeah.
who is a big anime nut, and I think he gets too caught up in the moment sometimes. But he said like Megalobox is like in his top 5 of animes. He's like, that's pretty high praise for this guy who's watched a bunch. So, like, it's probably not that good, but
that person, it is extremely stylish. So, I mean, I guess if it really hits your style bone, maybe
Like, it kind of
crazy, but there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me as like one of those Fooly Cooly type shows where it's got like oodles of style.
But none of the animation of a Fooly Cooly.
I mean, it's got hella style though.
Yeah, that thing is like close your eyes and listen to the music.
Yeah, I mean, if they start like branching out into like comedies and stuff, I think it'd be easier to find like good stuff to fill those slots.
Yeah, I bet Hunter x Hunter and Black Clover are like, we put some weird stuff back at the back of the block. Some weird older stuff.
Or just weird stuff in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not sorry.
Oh, wait, aren't they supposed to... Didn't they say something like, we're making a show out of scavengers?
I thought they did, but I don't know where that came from.
Maybe?
Like, I swear they said, we're making scavengers into a show. It's coming to Toonami sometime.
Like, I've seen that thrown around, but I don't know like where that came from.
I think I got that from you. I didn't get that from anywhere else.
No, I mean, if that is something that's happening until they like announce like a writing team or a director or something, like it seems like something they're just kicking around. Because when we found out about,
there's no dialogue.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if they're not announcing like the team behind it, I'm kind of like, all right, they're just thinking about it, whatever. Because Fooly Cooly, we got a date. Samurai Jack, we knew Gendy was coming back to do it.
Oh, also, Fooly Cooly Alternatives, September 8th.
Yeah, but that's going to rerun.
Yeah.
Just a small interesting thing is, like they're rerunning Progressive, but it ends like there'll be like a week where they have to fill a slot, which we know they've done some stupid stuff before, like this re-air Intruder 4 or whatever.
Yeah. The re-air the last episode. Is there a federal? I forget if there's a federal holiday in between now and September 8th.
Well, there's Labor Day.
There you
go. Labor Day marathon.
Well, but I think even accounting for that, there's still like 1 week in the Fooly Cooly slot. They'll have to like just do something. Yeah, just
Yeah,
something.
I mean, I'm sure they have some weird Adult Swim thing they want to show off.
We've seen them in the past. They like showed Intruder 4 and like Scavengers and just filled a half hour with that.
Sand Whale and Me.
Yeah, just air the whole thing.
No!
Or is there like some weird OVA or something, or OAV or whatever?
Bring back Kick Heart.
No, God,
Kick Heart twice.
Kicked me in the heart. No, but I mean, I'm sure there's like some weird half-hour short they can show from either Japan or over here.
I mean, it's not really even worth discussing. Just noting, it won't blow right into it because there's just a week where it doesn't align.
Right.
They said September. If the dates don't work out quite like that, why couldn't it just be September 1st?
Well, okay. So Fooly Cooly Progressive, the last episode airs the rerun on August 18th. So then there's August 25, and then there's the Labor Day marathon, and then September 8th. So it makes sense to start Progressive after Labor Day, so it's not interrupted.
Right.
But now there's that August 25 date where it's just like, okay, what do we do here in that Fooly Cooly slot? But,
well, and hasn't the date for alternative been like around forever?
They said September earlier.
They said September, and now I think they confirmed September 8 at some point.
Oh, okay.
There was a teaser.
Yeah. So basically, there's right at the week after Labor Day weekend, so which is where you'd expect it to be. So, anyways, do we get into the block?
Yep, sure. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super Episode 70, a challenge from Champa. This time, a baseball game. Guys, I don't think there's ever been a bad baseball episode.
They're all pretty good, including this one.
It's just kind of fun seeing, something relatively mundane like baseball, and just put a crazy anime.
I mean, this is filler as filler can get, but still entertaining because Dragon Ball's better when it's trying to be funny.
Yeah, I mean, when Dragon Ball goes sort of slice of life, it becomes like infinitely better than whatever convoluted plot they come up with.
So let's call this the Yamcha episode.
This is the last
time to shine.
Yep.
This is the last episode where Yamcha isn't shit upon from a great height.
Except he still was. He just still won.
He just wasn't shit upon from the heights that are coming for him.
He had a line in the show where he goes, "Let Yamcha show you what it's like to dominate the mound."
Well, didn't he say the Yamcha at some point? Just like, not only is he referring to himself in third person, he is now like an object. He's the Yamcha.
Yeah,
the Yamcha.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember. Like, did this just make his career as a baseball player canon?
Probably.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like, they had that weird sort of filler episode or two in Z, where it's like, oh yeah, Yamcha's a professional baseball player now.
I don't actually remember if he did baseball before.
Well, I mean
Wolfang like throw, he could probably that dude's probably like winning the Cy Young every single season.
Yeah, I mean, any one of these guys could join any professional sports team and just elevate it to champion status instantaneously. Like even like completely out of shape Gohan would be like Cy Young winning Balloon d'Or legend.
Like, I don't even know how Yamcha could not. Yamcha would throw a perfect against regular humans. Yamcha would throw a perfect game every single game.
Seriously, he'd be a legend.
He would never. Literally every pitch would be a strike.
It would be one of those things where they have to rename the Cy Young Trophy after Yamcha. That's where the Yamcha comes from.
Max Scherzer wins the Yamcha again.
That's where the Yamcha.
These would be very fast games. Just no hits.
He's talking about the trophy. That's and every time he gets up, he just knocks it out of the park.
There was a slight continuity, like maybe not error, but mishap in this episode though. So like Gohan was talking like he's never played baseball before, when we know he has. He didn't know what he was doing last time in college, in high school, but he has played it. Unless he just totally forgot. Like this.
He probably didn't realize that was baseball.
Toriyama forgot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could barely call it playing baseball. He caught one ball and got hit.
Yeah, basically.
But going back to that, have on these guys that he forces them to travel to a different universe to play a fucking baseball game.
He can erase them all from existence with a snap of his fingers.
Yeah.
So like how many more like filler episodes do we have before like the next arc kind of gets started?
I think another month.
So like 3 or 4 more. Okay.
Yeah, I think. But I mean there's some really good ones coming up though. Like this stretch of episodes is probably the best in the series.
Didn't you see the next one? Holy shit, Goku's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, no, I think that's a 2-parter, and then there's another 2-parter after it.
But yeah, Goku died. That's really surprising. You never expect it.
That's never happened before.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty ballsy for them to just kill the main character.
Yeah, and it's not like there's any way to bring him back with, say, I don't know, Dragon Balls or anything.
Nope.
The final shot of this episode is so good. Because I didn't know this happened, but in retrospect, I should have seen this coming from a mile away.
I saw it. So like I knew when this episode aired in Japan, it's kind of a little bit hard to avoid that. Yeah. So like I knew that he made that death pose, but I guess I never like paid attention to it enough to realize that like his hand was on home plate or something. So like I didn't know the context of it. I thought he just like got blown up on a baseball field or something. So like I didn't realize it was actually like him like in this sort of desperate heroic act to like score a run. Got blasted, but he still made it like right at the very end to touch home plate and score the run. so I didn't get that context just from a quick glance of when it aired.
Yeah, see, I think that move is the Yamcha.
Yes,
they're all the Yamcha. No, but like I'm thinking like when he played professionally, do you think he threw some games just to like make it interesting for the fans?
I don't think they talk about it too much.
Well, no, I mean, it's like he seems like the kind of guy that would be like, yeah, all right, we could afford to lose this game, you
Look,
know,
the
whatever.
only thing he did is that he stuck to a regular rotation.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can only win 1 out of 5.
I mean, you're guaranteed like a perfect game every 5 games, but really, he could throw every game if he really wanted to.
It was kind of amusing, just like every time he went from base to base, like to second base to third base, he just got totally beat up, for, like no reason. It's like really the episode just wanted to dunk on him as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little surprised Gohan survived that one full power pitch.
Now I know. Like there's been earlier episodes where the dub ad libs a little bit. You know, they kind of recognize Yamcha as sort of the laughing stock punching bag of the series. Like one of the very earliest episodes, like Vegeta mocking, like, "Oh, let's go see Yamcha." But it's just kind of it's amusing in a way to kind of see them acknowledge his status.
I kind of feel bad for Yamcha too because he's always being like nannied by Puar or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it gets worse for Yamcha. Yamcha turns into like he doesn't turn into Polnareff, but it gets pretty bad.
So, shall I talk about My Hero Academia? Nope. Okay, moving on.
No, yeah, of course we're gonna. Yes.
Everyone's just sitting there quiet, like
it was an implied yes.
Yeah.
My Hero
it's
Academia,
like,
episode 9. Yeah, just do your best, Ida. Be the best emergency exit sign dude that you can. Because that's what he was.
That's not the title, right?
No.
no. I hope not.
Anyway, in this episode, they choose a class president. Midoriya wins because Ida didn't vote for himself.
That's how pure he is.
Yeah.
He's such a good boy. He can't even vote for himself. He has to vote for someone else. I like this character, by the way. He's great.
Yeah.
I like Ida a lot. He's just the fact that, like, he's not like cool or anything, but he's like super duper serious about everything. But it's just kind of this quirk that works for me.
Yeah. No.
Like not a superhero quirk, like actual character quirk.
No. He's like this really like he's super serious, but he's also like really earnest about everything he does. So it rubs off, and you kind of want it, and you want him to do well because you don't see guys like that very often.
His English voice, Tatum, right, is really good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not entirely surprised everyone just voted for themselves.
I mean, that's how it is in high school.
Well, that's not true. Ochako voted for.
Yeah, Ochako has a crush on Deku, so yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was always going to happen. But I mean, everyone else voted for themselves.
There was but Momo won second place because at least one other person didn't vote for themselves.
I bet it was Frog Girl who voted for Momo.
We'll see.
Probably.
I don't know.
It was Grex's avatar.
No, I always vote for myself.
Oh yeah, I would have to
on my
assume he
desk.
voted for himself. That guy looks like he would do that. Like he's the most Batman of all these characters.
I think Mineta voted for Momo because.
Oh, that could be.
Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
No, Mineta absolutely voted for himself because he wanted to do some bad shit.
He did say that.
Oh.
He said I want to be president because of, and then he said something, I forget what it was, but it was something like what you're thinking.
So this episode was kind of in 2 parts. So like the first part was this kind of this class voting thing, which is kind of just an Ida character like moment, basically, and a little bit of Deku. And then like the second part, kind of the end of the episode, was they're going to do like rescue training. It's another part of, I guess, hero work. In last week's episode, they showed the post credit scene. So they kind of realized that they missed one earlier in the season. And this post credit scene actually seemed a little bit more important because it showed some mysterious group of villains. And remind me, or correct me if I'm wrong, they knew or figured out that All Might worked at the academy. And
well, that's public knowledge because
I mean, who didn't know?
Well, they learned that. and they're targeting him, right? Like they're trying to get to him.
Yep.
That's why they're going there to get
Pretty
All
much.
Might.
Yeah.
So we kind of learned that last episode in the credits, some mysterious group of villains is coming, and then in the second half of this episode, basically right at the end, they met. So they met another superhero named like 13 or Mr. 13 or.
Right.
Do I have it right? Like they have like this black hole power.
Yeah.
But then
13. Yeah.
But then things go wrong, and these villains start to show up, and this is kind of our first.
There are bad guys in the superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of our first. It seems like the onset of the first major conflict.
The other thing to note of the first half also was that it was like alluding to the fact that these villains were figuring out how to break into the school.
Right.
Using the fake news media.
Well, the news media was just like what happened when they broke the wall.
Right.
But they were like, remember the president was standing out there and he was like, what is this, a declaration of war?
Okay, you totally said the president instead of the principal.
Oh, shoot, darn it.
Hey,
Principal.
The president was just standing out there. I hate the media. President Napa.
Hey, if it was a university, it would have been a president. So there.
Yeah.
And it is a university, sort of. Just not.
It's a high school.
Yeah, I guess it is
Specialized.
high school.
High school is just college in Japan. And college is just a slow march to death.
Well, so after that, like after their little like first half, they get to go to Walt Disney World, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Orlando, or what do they call it?
Disney Japan.
Universal Studios Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually like named Unlimited
Support joint or something
like that.
Was that actually what it was in Japan, or like was that?
Like
Yes.
the joke
What
is
the
they
dub
literally
had
go
to.
there and it's like, this is USJ, and it's like, oh, it's like Universal Studios Japan, and then he's like, oh, like they see it, and they're like, it's Universal Studios
Okay.
Japan, and then he's like, it's USJ, and it's like, it literally is Universal Studios Japan.
Yeah, so it wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, look at these attractions! Wow.
They probably couldn't afford Tokyo Disney or whatever it is.
No, it's been this forever, literally ever since the fan translation days.
No, I mean when they were originally writing it, they probably couldn't afford to do like Disney World.
It's too risky.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the mouse coming for you, and he's the only guy you don't want coming. You don't want to deal with the mouse, and you don't want to deal with the plumber.
It's Mario World.
Well, they had the Mario reference in the
busted
manga
the ceiling.
earlier,
What
didn't
the
they?
fuck did you say, you copyright stealing little shit?
But wasn't there a Mario reference when they were doing the test earlier in the manga?
Yeah, but it's like the classic Japanese. It's a silhouette.
No.
Yeah.
I know they changed it for the anime, right? So,
Yeah.
Or they made it not quite so blatant.
Well,
Right.
they completely changed it. They don't look anything like it.
Mhm.
Anyway, bad guys are here, including Mr. Hands,
Yeah.
the handyman. And
So,
this
which episode was this? And like, how many more are in this season?
is episode 9. There are 13 in this first season.
So we're basically in the final part of the first season.
We're almost done.
They don't cover a whole lot.
It kind of feels like not a lot has happened.
Well,
Not a lot has happened.
yeah, we basically had like our introduction arc and then a couple of like character introductions. So, I mean, not even introduction arc, just more like literally the introduction to the series.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of hard to call it an arc, but like the whole like quirk assessment is kind of a little mini arc, I guess.
It's sort of just establishing the world and the rules to the world and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe this season ends with this is the final arc of this season. This whole like training thing that's going on, but which is now not so much training.
This is basically seems like this will be, the first like notable event that kind of kickstarts everything else. So that's what it feels like.
This is also like one of the first times where you can see, man, unfortunately, the visual quality of this show does not quite match some of these things from the manga.
Well, you're referring to the reveal of Hand Guy coming out of the portal that we saw at the end of this episode.
That's
Somebody
right.
in the thread posted the comparison. Yeah, it doesn't look as good, but it's not bad.
It's also just kind of, it just does not lack any. That manga panel is so just like fuck it. You should add
It's
the
really
menacing.
detailed.
You should just add menacing to it.
Yeah,
And this one, it's just like, hey guys, I'm here.
I mean, short of short
to
of
be
getting
honest,
like
when I was watching the episode, like the hand guy, like it was not striking enough that I really wasn't even paying attention to it. Just like, oh, here's some guys coming. Like,
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I think part of it is like if you're gonna have something like super detailed like that, it's not gonna carry over unless it's like Madhouse doing the adaptation. So like, Hunter x Hunter, it tends to carry over because, it's fucking Madhouse.
I mean, this show looks good. I think that one particular
Yeah.
shot was not done well, but like this show continues to be well animated, and there's some great Sakaka coming towards the end here to
Yeah.
look forward to. So
We'll finally get to see it without it being dimmed.
yes,
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, you got to make the trade off. You get the crazy animation for the details and,
Yeah.
One
Anyway,
last thing. Oh wait, before you go on, one last thing I wanted to mention was the school bus ride to the place,
yeah.
and the Frog Girls calling Deku out on his power.
God.
and also just being like, "Hey, Bakugo, nobody's gonna like you because you suck."
That
Wait,
was so
I
great.
forget.
Someone actually mentioned in the thread, like it's kind of like the middle school bully going to high school and kind of becoming like the
A
person.
little shit.
In case
Well, I don't know how do I put this. Like they realize they can't. Yeah, they can't be the bully anymore, type of thing. So
Do you guys ever see the '80s cartoon called Galaxy High?
I have heard of it, but I
No.
have not.
No.
Okay, well, this will be a reference for like one person other than me, but in that show, 2 kids from Earth get taken to a high school that's like galactic high school, and the big jock guy who's the most popular guy at the Earth school ends up being the dweeb at the alien school,
Yeah,
and it's kind of a similar thing going on here.
Like Bakugo was the hot shit in class at his
Yeah.
middle school, but guess what? Everyone else here was also the hot shit.
Exactly.
Can I ask kind of a specific, probably unnecessary question? How does the Frog Girl's voice compare to the Japanese voice? I know some people say they hate the dub voice.
I mean,
The way I see it, like I don't know what she sounds like in Japanese, but she's kind of like this weird frog girl. Like she's kind of just awkward, and she kind of has a weird frog voice, and like
Yeah.
it's not a normal voice. It's
this
clearly
is exactly what you would expect a frog person.
yeah,
to
like it's
sound
literally like frog in your throat
Yeah.
sounding. So like to me, not knowing what the Japanese voice sounds like, it seems appropriate, even though yes, it does sound like a really weird voice, but it seems appropriate. So I just saw some people mentioning like her voice sucks, like and it makes me curious, like how does she sound in Japanese? I know in Japanese she probably says Karo instead of ribbit.
Yeah,
But-
she says it all the time too. Like she almost ends every sentence with "gero gero" or whatever. But I mean, I personally think her voice is fine. It's supposed to sound kind of awkward. I think.
I mean that was kind of my take on it. She's a weird frog girl with a weird frog voice.
Her whole thing is awkwardness. You ever notice how she's constantly in kind of like curled up pose, and her face doesn't change?
Well, also
Yeah, like,
I think the voice actor is actually
palms down,
Yep.
I think the voice actress is actually like Monica Rial, who like does Bulma, for instance. So it's like a totally different type of voice than what she normally does.
I mean,
But-
I guess what I'd say is that like I don't listen to her English voice and think, oh, this is bad. I just think to it and go, okay, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't knock it out of the park, but it's
Yeah,
also fine.
The reason I brought it up is I just noticed some people discussing it in the thread, or not even discussing it, just kind of mentioning. So
Maybe it's got like a really famous voice actor in Japanese that I didn't know when I was listening to it.
No, I don't think so.
Anyways, I think the voice acting in this show is relatively pretty good.
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
it seems like characters like Bakugo and Deku are kind of fitting in or are settling into their styles.
Yeah, I think I said this like a month ago, but like even all the side characters, I like all their voices. I think all the voices sound cool in this show. Even the ones we haven't really heard a whole lot of, but I think even their voices are good.
I liked the scene where Ida's just like, everyone form 2 lines. We're doing this organized. And they get on the bus and it's like, it's open floor plan. It's like nothing. It didn't matter. Anyway, guys, we got to talk about Fully Cooley. Fully Cooley Progressive Episode 6, Our Run. All right, who wants to go first with the hot take about Fully Cooley Progressive?
I can.
Okay.
So I haven't listened. I listened to one of the earlier episodes where you talked about it. I think it might have been the very first one. so I haven't really. What I'm getting at is the previous episodes. I don't really know what your guys' thoughts were on like 4 and 5, but I kind of felt like the show had a very safe start with episode 1, but I felt like there was enough there that it could have potentially have gone in an interesting direction with that first episode. Like there was enough. It was clearly similar, but I thought there was enough like small tweaks and changes to it that I thought they could maybe make this its own thing. But I felt like it spun its wheels a bit in like episodes 2 and 3. And those episodes really should have had us falling in love with the characters more than they did. Like, I just didn't get that in this show. Like, I didn't really care about Hitomi or Ide.
Instead of focusing on them, it's just like, wouldn't you like to know more about weird skirt dude and his weird girlfriend?
It felt like it was spinning its wheels. It was kind of meandering, and for a show that's only 6 episodes long, I felt like it needed to be a little bit more efficient in what it was doing. Like a lot of the beach episode kind of felt really pointless, but episodes 4 and 5, I felt like not only were the production values better, but I felt like it was, again, kind of maybe going in the direction where they knew what they were doing, or maybe had some idea in terms of a theme popping out of this. But episode 6, I kind of think dropped the ball on everything. Like it's hard for me to even describe like, or to even like dig out of this something something positive about it. Like I felt like it just totally cratered on like everything it could have potentially have been. Like it didn't look very good. Like I felt like none of the character arcs, like if there even was one, like came to a satisfying resolution. Like I didn't really care about what Haruko was doing. It felt like it was random for the sake of randomness. Like what was the symbology here? Was like
people said that Fully Coolly Progressive basically took a lot of what was happening in Fully Coolly way too literally.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's actually in love with Adamisk. Oh, Adamisk is actually a giant firebird.
Yeah, that was Midfalutin, the guy who does the Toonami Showdown podcast, and he was dead right. I mean, I agreed with him. That was what's his face, Amuro. That's what he thought Haruko was thinking of Adamisk, but that was his childhood notion of it. The truth is that she just wanted his power. Anyone who's watched Fully Coolly, the first one, enough times would have recognized that. But I guess the creator of this literally took what Aramo said literally and went with it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a fundamental misunderstanding.
Yeah. Like Fully Coolly is a bunch of scenes that mean something that has nothing really to do with what's actually happening on screen.
Well, I mean, I don't go that far, but
then this show was just like, no, all that stuff actually happened, and
yeah,
we took a very basic level of what that means.
In the original show, the kind of the sense I got was Haruko was almost like it felt like she was almost like a drug addict or something, and her drug was Adamisk. Like she really wanted the power and would do anything to get it. Yeah. But it was like, you don't say a drug addict is in love with the drug. I mean, in a way they sort of are, but it was more just just more of an obsession than anything else. So
she literally said, she's like, I don't care what happens to this planet. They'll have to think smooth, I guess, because all she cares about is collecting the power of Adamisk. I mean, like, anyway, and that's the other problem with this series. And I'll make my part short by saying, first of all, I agree with everything Seda just said. Like he just basically said what I was thinking. I think the big issue I have with Fully Coolly Progressive is that it felt like the story of the first Fully Coolly was the best part of it, and it really wasn't. And they went with that mostly. And like it missed out on animation. Now, episode 5 looked really good and was by far worth watching. If you're going to watch anything, watch that, and you don't have to watch the rest of it.
This show literally had a 1-to-1 like relationship with, does the episode look noticeably better? Then it's good. And then the second you saw episode 6 was going back to like the regular Fully Coolly Progressive look, and it's like, oh no.
The fundamentals that make Fully Coolly the original good are that even if you don't know what's going on, it's pure eye candy from beginning to end. And this series didn't know that. Like it didn't understand that, or it couldn't do it. And there were episodes like 5 that were like that felt like original Fully Coolly, because when you didn't understand why things were happening, it was still really amazing looking.
In Fully Coolly 1, you look at what's happening. You try to pay attention to what's happening, and you think this is just nonsense. But maybe I'm just dumb, and this actually means something. In Fully Coolly Progressive, you're just like, this is just nonsense, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's one of those things like the original Fully Coolly. I feel like it was very strange. It was very weird, and even some of it almost required a second viewing to understand it. But like, it's possible that maybe I'm just dumb and not understanding it. But the last episode of Fully Coolly Progressive just felt way more random, like, or even more nonsensical.
It did. It was like, here's something I'll throw out as a random thing. Why did the medical mechanic plant shoot mochi on everyone that turned them into mochi? Why?
Like,
Why was that a thing?
And also, I wasn't sure what was up with the. I don't even remember her name, the plant girl.
What is the point of her existence?
Like,
yeah.
What's
I
the
mean,
point?
yeah, it's just so random. And the other thing I was going to say too that the original did really well was that it was all pillows all the time. And in this one, they just inserted songs that we had heard before, or one new song in various scenes, not particularly mixing with the song, just the song was there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, it was just music that was just generic music or no music.
First,
and
Fully Cooley seems like a show that was written around the pillows.
Exactly.
This is a show that they shoved the pillows into.
And it was good at times, but it's not like you can't just put, one of those great songs in there and just be like, oh, look, this is just like the finale. Remember when in the finale this song played? And it's like, yeah, but I think Fully Cooley earned that. And it was mixed with the music better. The animation was directed. Like, they said that the original Fully Cooley was like part music video and part like Japanese TV commercial, where everything is super fast and hyperkinetic and stuff. And this just felt like an ordinary anime that was trying to just have a Fully Cooley like ingredient to it. So anyway, the last thing I'll say, the only thing I really liked in the final episode, this is going to sound really like hypocritical, was even though it's completely wrong for Haruko to be in love with Adamus from what we know of the first part, I thought the scene that Kari voiced where she's like spilling her guts to him, I thought that was all right. But
good performance,
the rest of it
Kari
was just,
Walgren.
Yeah, yes. And the rest of it was just like, the rest of the episode was just like not good. I mean, in fact, I think they should have ended it on the 5th episode.
Almost, yeah.
I mean, at the same time, there's also been like an in-universe decade between, last season and this one. So, it's not weird that certain things would change.
No, it's literally been 2 decades. Pretty much.
Oh, well,
rounding
yeah,
up.
That's even more.
Well, I mean, how do we know that? By just the age of Amuro's son? Are we just guessing?
Oh, wait, no, I thought we were talking about like in real life.
Oh.
No, in the series itself.
It feels like it's been like multiple decades because Amuro now has a son that looks like Amuro did in the first show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of what I'm saying. Is like
that's 25 years at minimum.
Yeah,
also,
like certain characters changing in that time. Like,
oh, you're
I'm
saying
not,
that's
like,
why
thrown by
Haruko is
that.
different a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
I have 3 things I want to mention. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
But just before I forget, first of all, I've mentioned this a couple times in the thread, and it's hard for me to describe, so I hope it's coming across well. But one thing I felt throughout Fully Coolly Progressive that I never felt in the original was that it was trying to be funny. Like, it had like slapstick and zingers in a way that it felt like it was trying to elicit like a laughing reaction. And it felt too try hard to me. Like the original show, the original series had some like slapsticky like moments and some moments that were humorous, but it never like felt like it was trying to be funny. It felt like it was just happened to be. Like, for example, in the very last episode of Fully Coolly Progressive, there's this point where like Haruko and Hitomi are like bouncing off each other to try to kiss Kanti, and like it just like the tone there was just like really like Looney Tunes in a way. And I know
Haruko also says "nyan" like way too much in Progressive.
Yeah,
she's like says it all the time, and that's not like, it's just, that's the kind of another one of those try hard kind of things. Like, oh, doesn't she say that? It's like maybe she said that once or twice in the original.
Yeah, there's like one scene in the original where she like where I think it's in fact it might have been the episode with the Puss in Boots where it had the cat kind of theme to it, and there's like a small little moment where like she kind of acts like a cat for really no reason, but it was just in a show that had to do with, or in an episode that had to kind of do with Puss in Boots and Naruto having like cat ears and things like that. But just here she just kind of said it all the time, like you said.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The second thing I wanted to just kind of ask, what was the point of Jinyu? Like, when I evaluate a character, I kind of think of it in two different ways. The character personality and like their reactions to the things around them, like themselves, and also their purpose in being there in the first place. And I kind of feel like Jinyu kind of faltered in both respects. Like, why was she there? Did she contribute anything really? And like, was she even like an interesting character in any sense of the word? Like, she felt totally pointless to me.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think she was supposed to be like the split personality of Haruko. Like one half Haruko is like zany Haruko teacher, and this is the other. This is the serious, get the job done, no nonsense version of Haruko.
Right.
I don't think that they used that well, but I think that's what they were going for.
It's like, oh, this is why Haruko seems flanderized in this show, and then they get back together, and it's like, oh
Not
no,
really.
this is just how they're writing her now.
Well, no, I mean, like how they got back together. It was kind of like, I feel like a little bit of inspiration was that scene with, the gray boo and the fat boo from, we just saw a couple months ago, where one beats the other, and then so that kind of becomes a dominant personality.
Yeah.
Like, I'm also complaining about it. I'm just like,
That's the only thing that makes sense, right?
yeah, that's probably what they were going for. Not that it necessarily worked.
So I think I've said my piece. Seda, you mostly said your piece. So what about you, Grex? Where is your mind on this?
I want B-Dubs to go first.
Okay.
Honestly, I kind of agree with what everyone said already. Is, like, I definitely have my problems with it. And at the same time, I'm like, it wasn't so horrible. Like, it wasn't like, number 2 on our list tier, but, I think it was better than average.
I think the fact that it's only six.
Barely.
I think the fact that it's only 6 episodes makes it maybe a little bit easier to swallow. Like, it's not this. It's not this 40 episode thing that we have to sit through.
Yeah.
But I do think it is incredibly kind of disappointing. Like,
I mean, compared to what we were coming from, there's no way it wouldn't be disappointing. This wouldn't be disappointing. But I'm just like,
yeah, there's no way it can match. But I would say that I feel like generally, I think this was poorly written. I think that, and I said this in the thread too, I feel like someone's fan script of what they think a Fooly Cooly sequel could be would probably be written better than this. This feels like it was handed to someone who had a vague idea what Fooly Cooly was and went with what they wanted it to be, and it wasn't really like particularly inventive or creative. It was just different.
Honestly, they were.
I don't know.
It kind of read to me like they were too afraid to take a risk with the property in this.
Yeah, that might be true.
Well, alternative sure looks. Alternative might.
Yeah, alternative looks to be the one that's taking all the big risks.
Maybe they thought. Maybe they thought they had to do a Fooly Cooly progressive so they could even get away with doing an alternative.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
will say this.
I'm thinking that's probably it. Is they probably thought, okay, well, they want a Fooly Cooly sequel, so we'll give them the sequel, and then we'll do what we wanted to do in the first place.
Well, here's the thing: the production crews on like both these shows are, I believe, almost entirely different.
Correct. That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
So,
or at least the director.
The director is different, and I think my guess is that as much as that makes sense, B-Dubs, I think it's more of a case of where you've just got 2 directors. One guy did this thing, this other guy goes this other direction.
Right. I'm sure one of them was probably told, hey, you got to do a sequel to the show, though.
Well, here's the thing. So we only have seen 1 episode of Alternative. So it's hard to judge.
I like it more than any of these episodes.
It's hard to judge from one episode, but I think we all agree that Alternative's tone is different. It's more laid back. Yeah. It feels more like a slice of life. Like the first 2/3 of that episode of Alternative is this.
Didn't feel like Fooly Cooly at all.
Like it's not weird. It kind of just feels like this normal girl going to a normal school. But
you know what it does though? It nails the characters. Like I care more about those characters than I did anybody in Progressive.
I think one thing that helps it just from that one episode is there's already this sort of established like relationships here between these four girls.
Yeah.
Where Hitomi from the get-go was kind of this loner.
Right.
And so what they had to do is they had to believably create a relationship with her and namely Ide in this series. They failed at that. So I'm not necessarily saying it's bad to have a character like develop a relationship within a show, but you have to work for it. Where basically the starting point is different here.
Right, and
now they could totally botch alternative starting in episode 2. You know, we don't know, but it's definitely starting from a different point.
Yeah, like I think part of the problem is you sort of hit on it. Is that progressive? Like the main character is a loner. Like there's really she has no relationships with sort of anyone else. It has to be built up through the series, and that kind of causes us to not be able to relate to her.
And that's kind of what I said. That's kind of what I was getting at when I briefly mentioned episodes 2 and 3. Is I feel like in a show that's only 6 episodes long, you really had to work at that early on, and they didn't. And so, or they didn't do it very well anyway. So I
still can't describe to you what Hidomi's character is.
She's a loner.
Glum.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the problem, I think, is that, you know, she's not interacting with anything. She's not driving anything forward. Like with Fooly Cooly 1, you know, the main character, you know, he generally wanted something.
But why, and again, you're not going to have an answer maybe, but why is she depicted as an ordinary schoolgirl, but then at the end she can just transform into a robot? Why is it that Haruko can look at Hidomi and go, you know what, you can get Ide back, but you'll have to give up your humanity? And Hidomi's like, okay, I'll do it. And I'm thinking, do what? How do you know how to do anything?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it takes so many liberties with what characters do and do not know. I was so confused in that moment.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear it. I hear you. It's, yeah, but kind of like what I was saying is like, what was the name of the main character in the first one?
Naota.
Right, Naota, he, like, you know, he had the crush on the girl, and, you know, that was sort of his thing is, hey, I want to, you know, either impress her or get with her or whatever the hell it was. And that, you know, what's her name from 2 didn't really have anything driving her forward. And I think that's sort of where a lot of the problems from this series come from.
Yeah, like she had some kind of like weird like fascination with death.
Right.
But that never really went anywhere that I can remember.
Right. And it's one of those things, it's like your character kind of has to want something, and she didn't want anything, and so she never really...
And
she never really affected the story as a result.
Basically, Hitomi was like nihilistic, and basically, like I think she even like opens her monologue like, "I want everything to return to zero" or something.
Right.
And, like that sounds like, I have no idea how, but it sounds like it's some sort of thematic statement. But like, how do you build a theme around that? And
I mean, you can do like, you know, someone discovers the joy of life from that position or whatever. But it's, I know it's kind of, but at the same time, like she didn't, like I keep saying it, but she didn't want to do anything. And I think that's sort of the biggest problem the series had.
I will say, unfortunately, she just sort of immediately wanted to save Ide, and it didn't really feel earned.
Well, that's because that's at the very end, and that's the problem. She had to want to do something for the other 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, there was nothing going on with her.
Oh boy, I've kind of got a bullet point spiel here about why I think this show is poor. 4 out of 10 is exactly what I gave it. So let's start with story. It doesn't make sense even beyond the normal Fooly Cooly level of not making sense. I already said this, but Fooly Cooly, it seems like, I don't get what's happening, but I think I could probably get it. In this show, it's like, I don't get what's happening, and I don't think nobody does. I think they kind of went for a dual main character thing with Hitomi and Ide, and I think that was a huge mistake, because both of them end up being completely forgettable. I think it feels like there are way too many side characters that they're spending way too much time on. And I bet if you go back to Fully Cooley, it's like, actually, here are all these other side, like, hey man, Nina Mori and what's her face fired.
Nina Mori gets this episode, but the other guys in the original Fully Cooley really don't contribute too much.
They're really, honestly, there are about the same number of characters. It's just that those characters either had something to contribute or they weren't seen very much.
It felt like there was a more appropriate. So, like in any show, some characters have to be main characters and some characters have to be side characters. And I felt like the original had a better balance of like the other two guys in Ayata's class. They were present an appropriate amount of time and contributed an appropriate amount of the time.
Well, no, I think.
Whereas this like fat skirt wearing guy in Fully Cooley Progressive had way too much screen time. Like. Yeah, way too much. And even the other guy that worked at the theme park, like,
oh my god, the thing with them is that they're so completely worthless and just a gigantic waste of time that even if they didn't have as much time as the other side characters in the first one, it feels like they took forever. Because every second you're watching them, it's like, I don't care. I think Haruko was completely flanderized to the point where it's like, oh, really? We're just being like, hey, Haruko, it's Crazy Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
And by the way, before you continue, I think Kari did fine. Like, it had nothing to do with the voice acting.
Yeah. None of the voice actors were in the show were bad. They were all good.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Haruko would, like, I sometimes even wonder if they were kind of playing it up a bit, like with how the class reacts to Haruko. Like, this is you, the audience, seeing Haruko and being like, yeah!
Yeah.
But actually, she just kind of is not... She has no good moments in this show at all.
Like, there was a scene in the final episode where this old lady, who I don't have no idea who she is. Anyway, not that I should, I guess, but anyway, the old lady shows up and she's talking to Haruko for a moment, and Haruko, for no reason, is just sitting there eating noodles or something with her during this battle. And then the old lady's like, "Oh, look, what you're looking for is up there." And then Haruko's like guitar is just sitting up high on a hill or something. And it's like, there's no reason for it to be there. There's no explanation for whatever. And we're supposed to be at the audience, be like, yes, it's her guitar. And I'm thinking, so what?
And look, the Vespa just fell out of the sky. Wow. Anyway, Fully Cooley Progressive. Things just pop out of nowhere in midair. Anyway, Jinyu was a complete waste of time. The most notable thing about her is that she was stuck in a cement cigar that one time, and it was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing with this plant girl and Amuro.
I don't understand, like, the plant girl, like what she was supposed to be or represent, or like.
She actually had the most interesting character of this to me, because she was the most. Not that this is like a prerequisite or anything, but she was the most like Naota from the first one. She was very like smarter than most of the other characters, and also kind of down and like, more. It just felt like there was more going on in her head. Yeah. But then you're right. So I guess she's a plant alien or something, and we don't know why.
So yeah, the characters are all kind of. I won't remember any of these characters. I don't even remember most of their names. I don't care. Animation lies. Most of this show looks like dollar store Fully Cooley. There's like 2.5 good animated episodes in this show.
Yeah.
And
everything else I think kind of looks not good.
That last episode was embarrassingly animated. I mean, it really was.
Do we basically agree that 4 and 5, especially 5, looked the best?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
The original episode had like a good moment or two, and then like 2, 3, and 6 all basically looked
like six definitely had moments where it's like, oh, they're intentionally playing up that they're just sliding these guys across the screen.
Yeah.
But no, in general, I think the whole style of like episodes 1 through 3 and 6 is just like, I don't like looking at this at all.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, the pillows were just kind of shoved in here, and I won't remember any scenes from there where
one scene,
the very first scene.
Well, that scene. But one scene I also thought it was pretty decent was the manga scene.
Yeah. Okay. That was this last episode, right?
That was 5.
Okay,
was
yeah,
fine.
of course.
So that was like it felt that scene I actually did kind of like. It was kind of reconciling Hitomi's relationship with her parents a little bit, and so it doesn't really work standalone, with all the stuff around it. But I do feel like it was a decent balance of like a callback to the original, but doing their own thing with it. And
I appreciated that they went in a shoujo direction with it instead of being like, "Look, it's that again."
Yeah, so it felt like that was probably part of the basically the strongest episode in this thing. But it doesn't still the fact that it's part of this show and it revolves around Hitomi as a character, which we've already discussed. It doesn't really work on its own, but it was nice.
Yeah. There's not enough of a character with Hitomi that it could make any of this work. Like, I feel like with the dual protagonist thing, like, it works if it's like Othello and Iago, but not for the characters we had.
So yeah, extremely short bullet points on why I think this is not good at all. Doesn't look great overall. You won't remember a single character. This time the story is actual nonsense, and the pillows weren't even that great.
No.
There are limits. Were fine. The usage,
they were not utilized correctly.
The usage of the pillows was bad.
There you go. So, like there are places you can't go.
I feel like in every aspect of like first off, being a show with Fully Cooley in the name, it fails in every respect, and as an actual show, it still does not succeed in any respect.
Okay, I know we've been talking about the show for a while, but one thing I want to mention about the pillows, because you're just talking about it.
Yeah.
This is actually in episode 5, which I think we agree is probably the best one. But one of these examples is actually in that episode with the pillows. So in the original series, the song, I think it's called "I Think I Can," and you know which song that is.
Yeah, because they literally say "I think I can."
Yeah, in the very last episode of Fully Cooley, that's when they show that song, right? That's in the very last episode.
That's the climax. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works because you're kind of rooting for Naruto at that point. You kind of realize at that point that Haruko has been using him, and you're rooting for Naruto, not Naruto. Jesus Christ.
The story beats even like coincide with triumphant moments in the song.
Yeah, and it makes like the song makes sense, the theme makes sense. You're rooting for him. It's mixed well, like the actual like sound effects and music. It's all mixed well. But then in episode 5 of this new show, they play that same song or a version of it when like Ide is just kind of freaking out at Haruko in like an empty swimming pool, and it's really
it's like they're just hitting each other.
Yeah, and it's just like, why did you put this song here now?
Because in this show, they just got songs from the pillows that they were allowed to use.
Yeah,
and it's like, use them.
It felt totally like poorly chosen. Like, we'll use this song at this moment. It was bad.
I don't like this show.
Let's rank it.
All right.
All right.
So we have our ranking list up here.
Yes, we do. And this time, C-Caller, you're actually going to have to put in the whole thing in text voice.
Okay, so we all will pause for a second while this computer voice reads off our list. Okay, now we're back.
Okay, cool. So you just listened to that for a while.
Yep.
And so, here's how I kind of want to do it. I think I have the lowest opinion of the show. I think B-Dubs might have the highest opinion of the show.
Right.
So I'm going to go first and say where I should put it, and then B-Dubs is going to go second, and we're just going to say where we each individually would put it, and then we'll have C-Caller and Seda come in to move it to the center somewhere.
Yeah, we got to split the difference somehow.
Let's do it.
All right. I would put this right above Bleach, below Casher and Sins.
You know what the sad part is?
Mm-hmm.
That's higher than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, it's actually
yeah, seriously. That like, I'm actually just looking at it now, and I was below IGPX, above Parasite.
Oh, well, geez. Okay, sure. I didn't think I could possibly win that fight, but if that's the case, I think this is better than Blue Exorcist. and that's
yeah,
about
I mean,
it.
it is definitely better. No, I will not say. I think it's better than Parasite.
I agree with B-Dubs. I think it has to go above. Well, yeah, I think. Oh gosh, it's right there though. It's somewhere right there above below Parasite for me.
Yeah.
I was okay. I was going to put it below Blue Exorcist. Like,
Oh, no.
I thought Blue Exorcist had a couple of episodes I liked.
Right. Like
Sure,
like
has
the
Like a
reason,
higher percentage of it.
right. Like the reason I have to put it below IGPX is because, like we were saying in the thread, IGPX sort of found itself and got good in that second season. Like the first season was not good at all up until that final race, and then after that, it sort of started to find its footing and get good.
Oh,
I
man,
think-
you know what? I'm starting
I
to
think
agree
that's-
with Theta though.
I think that's why it's got to go somewhere below IGPX.
So we're in about like the 33 to 38 range
Just
here.
in case you didn't realize, we're literally like right above bottom 10 right now.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
I think it's probably it's a little bit hard to compare because it is only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Compared to like, wait, is Sword Art Online? Did we have that all as one? Like
Sword Art Online is both season 1 and 2.
Okay, so like it's hard to kind of compare this to Sword Art Online, which is 40 whatever episodes.
Well, no, I mean I think it's better than that.
Yeah,
Sword Art Online is so low because of the plot.
Sword
yeah.
Art Online is so low because of the terrible moments it constantly.
I'm just saying it's kind of hard to compare like these 6 episodes, which to that.
Right.
But I'm
think
thinking like Blue Exorcist and Parasite and IGPX and Bleach, like those are all in a row there. Like none of us really like those shows, but I think
Right.
the reason why they're not in the bottom 10 is because they all kind of at least have a couple of moments we maybe like on average.
I would
Well,
put put Thundercats in that group too. We don't hate Thundercats.
So I was thinking Fooly Cooley might
Thundercats was
just be a
hilarious
notch
for the
below
moments.
that. Like
I don't know about that. I mean, we did like what was it? A third of the episodes of Fooly Cooley?
Oh, we love.
About?
So we liked one episode. I think we liked the way episode 4 looked in motion.
Yeah.
And I think
Like-
everything else we were pretty much meh on.
Like,
I think the
like
first
that's a
episode
third.
also was decent.
the first
Yeah,
episode of Fooly Cooley Progressive was really safe, but I
Yeah.
felt like it hadn't.
It wasn't bad though.
In
The
terms
first-
of,
The
I think
first
the
scene of
first
I'm
episode-
sorry, the first scene of Progressive is probably the most creative the show ever is.
I think I like
Yeah.
the watercolor moment of 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just sort of thinking like we did like talking about it there, and we do remember it is about only 6 episodes long. Like it feels like we have a problem with, major problems with 3 out of the 6, which is, I mean, it's not good for a series.
All right, well, let me
but,
switch it up on you then. Don't think so much about quantity versus quality. Think more about which one would you rather rewatch?
well, that's kind of hard too because it's only 6 episodes compared to
Well, okay, no, but like
Yeah.
for quality reasons. If you took, let's say you took Blue Exorcist and made it a 6-episode show, it just compressed it somehow. Do you feel like you'd rather watch that again, or would you rather watch Fooly Cooley Progressive?
Fooly Cooley. Because Blue Exorcist had that like good guy Satan bullshit at the end, and like
I actually
garbage.
actually forgot about some of the filler
Like-
stuff in Blue Exorcist and how bad it got.
Yeah.
Seda, I will never forget your one post about what the bad guy's plan in Blue Exorcist is.
Wait,
Literally,
It's so
put a
bad.
bomb on a plane, fly the plane into hell,
Yeah.
blow up hell.
Yeah.
Blue Exorcist.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh God, that actually happened. Yeah, I will fight you on putting Fooly Cooley below that. Like
Yeah,
Fooly
okay.
Cooley is bad, but
Okay,
it wasn't that
Here's the thing.
bad.
Here's how I'm going to go about this. If you compressed all these other shows down into 6 episodes, would they have any sort of episode that is as good as episode 5? I think the answer for Blue Exorcist and Parasite is no. I think the answer for IGPX is yes.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like IGPX would have like 2, maybe 3 episodes, that are actually good. If you did that,
I think so. Looking at this now, I think my like upper limit is probably okay for sure. Michiko and Hachin. It's not going above that. I think
Nobody even considered.
Yeah. No,
I thought I was going to be the low end, and then even B-dubs came in below me.
Well, no, I mean, like originally I thought it would be like just below Dragon Ball Z Kai, but then I started looking at the shows there. I'm like, oh, I can't put that above Lupin or Clone Wars or Michiko. I can't put that above Michiko and Hachin. You know, it's like.
So I think like above Dead Man Wonderland would be like the highest because Dead Man Wonderland is pretty dumb.
Now I'm thinking, have we?
Well, that's like my high limit. My low limit is probably. Yeah, like Blue Exorcist.
This isn't a complete aside, but we may have ranked IGPX too low.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just thinking, I'm like, I liked IGPX way more than I liked Dead Man.
That whole first season, though, of IGPX.
I mean, yeah, that whole first season, but the second season was good.
It's if I like thinking about this compression thing again, it's like, yeah, but that's still half of it being good. And that less than half of Bleach is good.
For the record, just to be clear, I'm not as hot on IPGPX as the rest of you guys. Like, I think it's mediocre, honestly, but whatever.
Well, yeah, anyway, I know, but
I think my final answer for ranking is right below IGPX.
That's where I am.
How do you feel about that, Seda?
Below IGPX,
but above Parasite.
Between IGPX and Parasite.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that
would be number 35.
Right. Yeah.
I can't really give you a reason to move it, so I'm gonna agree.
Basically, this region are shows that none of us can think are really good shows on the whole, but might have some good parts.
Qualities.
Like I've said, I mean, I think people should watch episode 5 of Fully Coolly Progressive and be entertained by that. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that for shows below where we're putting it.
Right,
there's like really I can't much to recommend there.
Yeah, like I can't think of an episode of Parasite that I'd be like, "Hey, you got to watch that."
So if we were to say like Fully Coolly has progressive has some good qualities, even if it's not a lot, just like episode 4 and 5, especially 5.
Yeah,
basically. It's just so weird to compare it with only 6 episodes, you know.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the way we thought about compression.
Yeah, just percentages.
We
could also do it the opposite way. If you expanded Fully Coolly Progressive out to the length of Bleach.
Oh God, nothing.
You know the problem with Progressive is that it was a 6 episode like miniseries, but with the budget of a traditional 24 episode anime.
Yeah, I think that was the major problem.
Like it didn't have an OAV budget. Like, and I know money doesn't equal quality, but like I mean, like they didn't get the people or the time in to make every episode look amazing.
Right.
This was a regular TV show instead of an OVA.
Exactly, but they just cut it off after 6 episodes.
But it's just 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was worth the 6 episodes. Like they should have just made it 12 and been done with it. And honestly, if they had made it 12, they probably would have done a better job.
Story-wise,
if you could let this stuff breathe a little more. But then also it probably would have been the same and it had just been 12 episodes.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like I'm just thinking about IGPX here. Like, do I put it above it or below it? I do think IGPX, like by the time you get to the end of that show, you do care about the characters at least a little bit more than you do with Fully Coolly. Like just a little bit. So
I think it goes right below IGPX.
Yeah. I think the voice acting and music in both is on par. It's just that one gets better as it
was on par. I didn't.
Well, I mean, it was the fucking pillows. Like the usage wasn't as good as IGPX. Like, you know, the music itself. Though.
Yeah, it turns out you can't just throw the pillows in haphazardly and it just suddenly makes the music amazing.
So
pillows are great. It's just, well, you didn't use it great, so it wasn't great.
So below IGPX, above Parasite.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is this permanent? Like, once we put it there, is it stuck there forever?
I mean, the plan is basically that this entire list will be deleted and we will redo it at the 10th anniversary.
Oh, so what's that, like 3-4 years from now?
So, yeah. But for now, this is kind of a final answer. And no, I'm not watching this show again.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, tastes can change over time. So this is like a time capsule of our feelings at the time we ranked it. So
Right.
And then the 10-year anniversary is where we come back and be like, IGPX is better than Bleach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like I feel like everything below IGPX, or below what Fooly Cooly is going to be, is stuff that's you can't point to anything and say you should watch that.
Wait, I forgot that we ranked Naruto Shippuden already.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're gonna have to lower that later.
Oh yeah, that's got to go into the bottom 5.
Yeah, I mean,
but then here's Black Clover.
Oh God!
For the sake of time,
is that gonna go?
All 3 of you guys pretty much are placing it below IGPX. I don't feel strongly enough. This is in the range of where I wanted to put it, so I agree with you. I think that's where we're going to put it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think all of us sort of agree on this, sort of range.
Yeah.
Somewhere between Dead Man and Blue Exorcist.
Yeah, but we're deciding to put it under IGPX, which is number 35 out of 48 shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fooly Cooly Progressive is number 35 out of 48 in our show ranking.
Yeah.
We'll
Looking forward to alternatives.
I'm a bit surprised at how low this thing is.
Honestly, I expect it to be the one to drag it up a bit, but like I said, looking at the halfway mark, I'm like, I can't put it above Lupin.
I guess that means your 6 is my 4.
I do think that final episode kind of cratered, torpedoed any shot it had, being like,
yeah.
Just imagine if that 6th episode erase it and replace it with some imaginary version of something that
let's imagine a universe in which episode 6 is as good as episode 5.
Yeah.
In that case, I think this show probably does go on that right below Dragon Ball Z.
I feel like episode 6 was not just a poor episode; it kind of brought everything else down.
Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, I was crossing my fingers that episode 6 was going to have some really smart twists that were going to make so much of the rest of what we saw make sense and be like, oh, what? Have epiphanies and be like, oh, that's so clever. This is what they were going for.
Yeah.
And no,
they didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right. Before you see it, you really don't know. Maybe it'll retroactively change our opinions on maybe episodes 2 and 3 or something. But nope.
Yeah. I mean, I will say for grading stuff is I don't really think of it as a 6 or anything. It's sort of I don't know. I don't like getting into 5 out of 10 stuff. Yeah.
Everyone has different scale for that. So
yeah.
That's
why I just don't like thinking in those terms.
I describe basically. I also give myself my personal scale. I give every number a word descriptor. So 4 out of 10 is poor. It's not bad, but
it's not good.
Nothing was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just the sort of guy that would rather have 3 or 4 paragraphs of stuff that force you to read through that instead of giving you a number.
All right. Well, we should probably just continue on here.
Yeah. Well, Fooly Cool. It was Fooly Cooly Progressive. We had to rank it. We spent some time on it. Time to move on to Pop Team Epic. Pop Team Epic, Episode 2, Vanver, A Game in Another Dimension, which is exactly that is the real title of an anime airing this season. That's a lie, but it might as well be.
No, wasn't that the season before? Or the season before that or something? I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
There's an isekai show airing this season where I think the plot is that some magician girls in another world try to summon a demon lord and enslave it, but they accidentally summon regular dude and they fuck up the spell, so he enslaves them instead, and oh god fucking damn it.
At least we're not getting that show.
Where's please give me the show where that guy gets turned into a refrigerator in the next life.
So I don't want to speak for all of the Toonami era people posting in threads, but my general consensus of watching people's reactions to this episode was that I saw a lot of people saying I like this a lot more than the previous one, which is my opinion as well.
Episode 1 really leans hard into the straight-up referential humor because they know that's easier to hook people with.
Yeah.
And then here they go for the weird shit.
I mean, I'm just not into the style of this show, at all. I'm not a huge, 15-second sketch, Adult Swim programming guy.
I liked the stop motion stuff. That was fun.
The stop motion thing had more effort put into it than most of Fully Coolly Progressive.
Yeah, I think it does too.
Here's an interesting thing I'm having with the show. I think I'm liking it quite a bit more than when I first watched it for two reasons. One, I'm watching it at midnight. And two, I don't have to read it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the kind of show that would suffer from a sub.
In fact, I found myself kind of like half grin chuckling most of this episode.
I agree. I actually, you know what? Here's my review of this week's episode. It was fun.
Here's my literal sound effect review of this episode.
Yeah, I was kind of like, why not? Sure, whatever.
Seda, you really loved the bird part?
Uh-oh, he's muted.
Oh.
Sorry, I went away for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Log.
Anyway, we're talking about Pop Team Epic. We said, Seda, you really loved the bird skit?
Yeah, so it's stupid. Like, all it was just like, I'm going to feed these birds birdseed. And then all these birds start freaking out like, yay, birdseed. And just, like, it was so stupid that I just thought that was hilarious for no reason.
And
that's
Pop
the point
Team
of the
Epic
show, I think.
Is a show that will throw like 500 of those things at you, and like, God damn it, about 200 of those will hit.
Well, 200 is kind of high. I would say more like 50, but whatever.
I guess if I were to try to explain it, like, the reason why I thought that was funny is like, if you're viewing this from like the perspective of, the person feeding bird seed, it's just a mundane task. Like, oh, you just give them some seed and they'll eat it. But if you're like from the perspective of the bird, you're like freaking out. Like, this is your drug.
Also, big props to Funimation for dubbing the song that they sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of couldn't understand all the lyrics, but it was still cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, even if the singing quality wasn't great, like, it doesn't need to be for a show like this, I think.
Yeah.
I got what I needed out of it, and that is, your taste is irrelevant.
So in general, this show, I think for me, it works well as a part of this block. Like, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much if it was just an individual thing I was watching. Great
point. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to watch this entire season of Pop Team Epic like on its own.
I did that
as a diversion during an animation block. I think it's fine.
It's literally the and now for something completely different of Toonami.
It's also the fact that it's sort of like, so usually when I'm watching Toonami, I'm usually doing, I'm multitasking a little bit. Like, might be playing a game, I might be in another chat, on something totally different. And so, like, I'm not always paying 100% attention anyways. Sometimes I am, but, it just kind of depends on what I'm doing. But so the fact that this is kind of just like a mindless show that you really don't have to, like, pay attention at all times. And, like, there's no storyline to, like, keep track of, or, character development or, like, plot points to pay attention to. It's just the fact that
you miss it airs twice. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of works as this sort of mindless, like, white noise type of jokey, stupid filler, just in the middle of a block. I think it just works for me.
Yeah, I will say that for that, I kind of wish it was later.
That's true, but
I feel like it's just. Yeah, I just feel like it's too early in the night for that kind of show.
It could be a nice jolt of adrenaline before Black Clover, but
yeah, like between Hunter x Hunter, Black Clover, bring us down a little bit.
But maybe at that point, I'm too sleepy to find it funny.
Well, I mean, it's a 15-second skit thing. So
I also think it's the type of thing where it comes and goes so quickly. Where even if there's just like a skit or whatever that doesn't land for you, like this isn't like this one isn't funny, like it's just a reference you don't get, or it's just a humor that's not your style. Like, it just comes and goes so quickly, you can't like dwell on it. Like Fooly Cooley doesn't, it has all these things that are building up and like come crashing down. Or like, I think Pop Team Epic, it's almost like its floor is higher. Like if it just has some bad jokes, then like, who cares? Like,
I don't like this skit. Whatever, it's gone in 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So
and then it's gone. It's back again later, but then it's still 10 seconds.
So this episode also had this like live action dub.
Yeah. So
that it actually worked okay because it was like an off, like almost like security camera angle. So you know.
Also, I laughed when it was like, "Did you see it?" And then it zooms in on the like not on the ghost, but on their faces in the corner.
Yeah.
Their
I actually
face is
laughed at that. I'm like,
inside
okay,
the
that's
mouth,
funny.
inside the mouth of the ghost under the chair.
Yeah.
I also liked how like the incomplete anime they were working on was clearly just different Konosuba. Like that magician girl is just Megaman.
Oh, also, it's worth mentioning too. In the first episode, it was almost identical. In this one, it changes. Like what they say, like especially during that beginning part. Like in the first one, they're like do an impression, and then the guy does like a weird impression of something, and then when they reran it the second time, he does something different.
Yeah.
So it's slightly different.
They also add the ghost under the chair in the second part.
Right.
And also the gag where it's like every time I see one of those jagged speech bubbles in manga, I die.
Yeah.
In the second part, every time she dies, she gets more and more mumbled, like you can't see it, and she's like, "What?" Here's the thing I'm going to unironically fight for at the end of the year. I think this opening is really, 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 really good.
It's interesting.
I love it.
Again, I hate to say it, but it felt like this opening to this show has more creative juices flowing than a lot of Fully Coolly Progressive did.
Mm-hmm. Man, when we get to ranking this show and it's above Fully Coolly.
I mean, so far I would put it above it. Like it's landing what it's trying to do better, I think.
I completely forgot to mention that in Fully Coolly, there's a scene in the final episode where the old guy basically turns to the camera and says, "We did this because we could."
Yep.
I can't believe I completely forgot about that. It just completely encapsulated everything about that show. Anyway, back to Pop Team Epic. Man, those shenanigans in Hoshiro Girl Drop are getting pretty wild.
I still say I'd rather watch that show.
Well, good news,
because
B-dubs.
that show looks like it's getting real.
Good news, B-dubs. They're making it.
I mean, I'm not going to go search it out.
There's a quick turnaround.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
will
probably actually watch it when they make it. Especially if they actually follow if they actually follow the story that these next episode previews are giving me. Because there's some crazy shit in the last few.
So yeah, Pop Team Epic. I think that's all there is to say about that.
Australia.
Mm-hmm.
JoJo?
Heck yeah.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders Battle in Egypt, Episode 43, The Miasma of the Void, Cool Ice, Part 2. In this episode, everyone gets really fucked up.
Well, not everyone, right? Just Polnareff and the dog.
Well, Vanilla Ice got a blade through his spinal cord and mouth, and if he literally hadn't turned into a vampire at that exact second, he would have died.
Yep.
True.
I must have missed something, like in this episode. How did he turn into a vampire?
That happened last episode.
When Dio brought him back to life after he cut off his head, that turned him into a vampire, but the change is kind of more gradual.
Okay.
So you notice that how basically Avdol's like life sensor thingy didn't sense him because he's undead.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Oh, you know what? I'm so stupid. I thought the reason Avdol's made up life sensing thing didn't detect him was just because Cream or whatever just like is in another dimension.
I think he was already coming out. Avdol noticed him coming out and then looked at the thing at the sensor and it's like, it's not reacting.
Okay. It makes more sense when you describe it, so.
Anyway, in this episode, holy shit, this guy is on like several metric fuck tons more dangerous than anyone before.
Yep.
He's also really, really angry at Iggy.
Yep. He does
well,
not
is
like
he
Iggy.
angry or is Iraqi angry?
No, again, Araki
likes dogs.
Araki loves animals, which is why the horrible villains really, really fucking hate them.
Okay. Man, it was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, poor Iggy.
I don't even like Iggy that much, and it was kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean those kicks to the gut. I was like, ooh, Iggy, no.
So yeah.
So Polnareff is basically like the main character of this show.
Or was.
And then he died.
And yep, at the end of this episode, life's a bitch. Polnareff is dead.
Yep. Life's a bitch. I love that. The narrator is like, which will it be? It's like suddenly it turned into a game show.
Number 3, life's a bitch.
Life's a bitch.
It's just it's so like, how do I put this? Like the narrator is just kind of in the same normal tone of voice the narrator is always in, even though like the tone of this episode is way more like it feels serious and like not so wacky. Like this is serious stuff that's happening right now, and then like the narrator's just like, 1, will he be saved by his friends? 2, will he miraculously get out of it? I don't remember exactly what they were. 3, life's a bitch. So I don't know. I also like the part where it's like, I forget exactly who mentioned it, but like this isn't just an American comic book.
Oh yeah.
Or I think that was the reference for like people coming to save him, like a hero. Like this isn't American comic book. Anyway,
is the narrator in part 4?
No.
Oh really?
What a miss.
I feel like the narrator stops being a thing after part 3.
But if I remember correctly.
Well, he may come back later.
If I remember correctly,
they will probably have him back to describe backstories of characters in part 5.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, in the test dub, it was a different voice actor for the narrator.
Yeah, it was kind of a guy who sounded like he was going to sell you war bonds.
And then, like, I maybe they just liked how I forget his name, the actor. It's Senketz. How he must have like just liked how they did in the first season. They just, hey, you're the narrator now. Like, you're just continuing. So I do like his delivery, just over the top and kind of practical in a way, but still, yeah. Thanks, narrator.
This fight is good and brutal.
Yeah, it feels like there's actual stakes here, especially considering. Well
somebody.
I know Abdul died once before, but he died again.
He's super dead this time.
And like it seems like Polnareff is dead too, and like I believe it that he could actually be dead now because we've seen death before in the show. It's not like Dragon Ball Z. So when someone dies, I know they've maybe side skirted it before, but I'm more inclined to believe that they're actually dead.
Anyway,
so yeah, it was a good episode.
Vanilla Ice really love the fact that they change all these names makes best name at the end of the year, because if this was just straight up Vanilla Ice, that's a guaranteed lock for one of my best names.
It's Cool Ice, right?
Yeah, Cool Ice is nowhere near as cool. Anyway, guys, want to talk about Hunter x Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
Hunter x Hunter episode 102, Power and Games. In this episode, Gon and Milorion have a long talk that's very interesting. That's basically the episode.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and then at the end, we see the king is... I don't know what he's exactly trying to do here, other than he's bored or he's trying to sharpen his mind.
Well,
he's just playing lots of strategy games, basically.
Yeah, he's basically... Like, he thinks he's basically the strongest being in all of existence. So he's trying to prove that, I'm the best and there's nothing anybody can beat me at ever.
Now remind me.
And he's also bored. So he's like, all right, I'll kill time by beating like the greatest players of all these different games.
Now remind me, is B-Dubs the only one who knows Hunter x Hunter from here on out, or is XNO?
I know bullet points.
Okay.
I'm the only one that's read it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll talk about the end of the episode first. Like, he's basically learned Shogi and another game incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
And then there's like this new game, which is it's like a mix between like checkers and chess. It's an in-game game, so it's like not a real one. And then there's this girl that shows up who is blind.
Yes.
She's got like eyebrows and like weird sort of pigtail sort of things, and like we know she's important because she's in the credits.
Out her nose.
Yeah.
She's apparently the world's greatest player of this made-up game.
That's what they did. That's what
we have some guy calling himself the Pharaoh. He's here to challenge you to a children's card game.
Yeah. But like that's what they did with the previous two games, and it was the sort of thing like, oh, he just beat the best shogi player, and he just beat the best Go player. Now here's the best. I forget what this game was called. This made-up game.
Gungi.
Yeah, Gungi. Like here's the best Gungi player, Now, clearly, something different's going to happen here. This character is in the credits. A lot of people in the thread were calling this girl best character or whatever. Like, so apparently, she's pretty popular. So I bet she's going to beat him in some way, and there'll be some weird.
That's my impression too. It seems like she's probably going to put the king in his place, and then the king's going to be like doubting himself or something.
Like, I'm wondering if this is going to be like the character like humanize him in a way. Like, I have no idea where they're going to go from here. But
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I will say they do kind of foreshadow where this is going, but it happened so long ago and it came off as just exposition that didn't really have a point that you might not have noticed it.
Well, don't give any more hints.
I sure
No,
did.
no, I won't. Like when we actually get through the end of the arc, I'll point out the
Well, we don't even know what they're doing yet. Like, maybe it'll come up to me when I realize how this is playing out. But it's pretty clear here that this character is important. Like, that's not even a hint. That's obvious. And so it's very, very likely that she's just going to, or very unlikely, that she's just going to get beaten so easily like the other two. Like, clearly that's simply not that's going to happen. So yeah. What's this girl's name again? Or have we not gotten her name yet? So maybe we should
not yet.
Komugi. It doesn't.
Doesn't matter too much.
No, I know her name is Komugi. Whatever.
Yeah. That's the next episode.
Yeah, she's clearly an important character in some way.
And clearly in need of a tissue.
Yeah.
Also, I just think it's funny how much Togashi loves making video games and game rules and games, and like this is another game he invents.
Yeah.
Next up, King, we have something called Sword Art Online.
God, you would just
if you die in the game, you die in real life.
This is the only thing that can challenge me.
I won in 5 seconds.
Okay, so earlier in the episode, we have basically a long conversation between Gon and the chameleon guy. What's his name?
Drug dealer.
I don't remember the chameleon guy's name. Like
Malorion.
Sorry.
Malorion.
Malorion.
Right, Malorion.
Okay. Now, like, he explains, first of all, that he wants to get revenge against the king because the king killed Peggy. So, like, we kind of got a glimpse of that in the past. Not with this character specifically, but that there may not be, like, the Chimera ants are not fully unified at all times. Like, they have their own. That was established pretty early on that they're going to have their own motivations.
Especially after the queen died.
Yeah, and I mean, we even have a Colt doing his thing. But he also kind of explains his powers. He not only can turn invisible, but he can actually like shut off his Nen. I might not use the right word, but he can basically.
It's not even that. Like he can. His Nen power is that he can be non-perceived. So even if you touch him, you can't feel him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't even tell he's there. It's like he's erased from existence.
You could lean up against him and like be floating in midair and not realize that's happening.
I wonder how far that goes though. Could you like literally push your finger against him to the point it bends and look at your finger bending in midair and be like, oh, there's nothing weird here.
I don't know the answer to that obviously because I haven't seen it. But if I had to guess right now, it feels like it's one of these things where it like messes with your brain.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't notice the irregularity of it. Because like that bird was getting poked and it doesn't even like move. It's moved and like didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, almost like it makes you numb in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
And he can also make it happen to someone he's touching.
Yeah, that's like that was like his third power.
When he started up that third power thing, I thought he got him. He totally punked Gon.
I thought it for a second because Gon is clearly a little bit naive. And meanwhile, during all this, is Killua still like about to die?
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like being rushed to some octopus Chimera's friend.
Don't call him an octopus.
Yeah.
And also the chairman is training on top of a mountain and shit is getting pretty real for him.
Yeah. Turns out the thing Killua just took one look at and was like, fuck that.
Nope.
So is the chairman guy Netero? Is Netero?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is he just sort of just like powering up slowly?
Yeah, he's like
right
training kind of.
Yeah,
It's like
he's like bottling
just
energy over long-term time here.
There was a shot Tell me if if I misread this or not, but there was a shot in this episode where we saw the big guy with the pipe on top of a roof.
Yeah.
Was I seeing a whole bunch of other Neteros on top of other roofs?
I think
No, that was
seeing smoke clones that guy made.
Oh, smoke
Yeah.
clones. Oh, okay. That's what I was seeing. I wasn't sure what I was looking at there.
Oh, I didn't even see those. I just what's that guy's name?
Dude, you're asking all these questions about names. I don't know any of these.
I'm bad
Honestly,
at
I don't
names.
remember.
Smoke guy's name is Moral.
Moral. That's
Right,
Is
Moral.
no.
Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of these characters in this arc, I can't remember their names. There's so many ants. I can't remember their names.
I mean, the human characters are the ones that really matter.
I think I mentioned this earlier on an earlier episode that I was on. There's so many Chimera ants. Like when you're first watching this arc, you really have no idea, like when they're revealed, which ones are just sort of throwaway and which ones will actually be important later. So you kind of just forget them all.
Yeah.
When you're watching it a second time, like you might realize, oh, so this is where they actually show the chameleon guy first, and like I know he's important because he shows up later, or something. Whereas there's a lot of ants that are just they aren't actually important characters. It's hard to see that when you're first watching it.
Like they'll be important for like 5 minutes, and then they'll be not important.
The last thing I'll say about this is more of a more general thing about Hunter x Hunter is that I don't think I've ever seen an episode of this series that I didn't really enjoy. It's just so consistently good.
It's insanely consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's helped by, the insane schedule Tagashi keeps, where he doesn't have to do like a weekly chapter. He can like do like, 6 or 7 at once and then like just draw them all and then put it out.
Basically.
Because I think he does like 1 or 2 volumes a year at this point.
But anyways, it seems like I saw some people who are familiar with the series mentioning in the thread almost something to the point like the real arc starts now. So it seems like whatever's going to happen between the king and this snot girl is going to be pretty important.
I've been kind of been like, when's this plot going to start up again? Because I know it's like basically the plot now.
Yeah, it's sort of what elevates this arc from like, oh, this is really good to holy crap, that was amazing.
Well, right now it feels like what's the plan? Like Killua and Gon, especially Killua, they're just trying to sort of cause havoc, and they eventually are planning to take out the Royal Knights or whatever they call them. Like that was kind of their first goal. They have to take those 3 guys out first.
Right. So that Netero can take out the king.
So Netero can take out the king. Like that's kind of like this plan.
Right.
But like that seems like that's not going to. Like there wasn't really much more specific than that. I think. Like
no, they don't get into the specifics of the plan for another, and how it's going to get carried out for another few episodes because they don't know enough yet.
Yeah. So like it feels like the show needs the plot line needs something here to sort of kickstart things, and we'll see what that is. Like I'm not saying it's like boring. It's just sort of, things are kind of building here, but something needs to there needs to be some sort of spark to like kick things into action, I guess. So
well, turns out the thing that's going to happen is that Kaiji shows up to challenge the king.
Yeah, because it's like the king and the royal guard, like we just know they're the big bosses of this arc, and so it's like we're just waiting for them to get into the action.
When somebody starts punching them, shit's gotten real.
Right.
Yeah. It's basically one of those things where they can't just bust into the king's castle and go that way, because if they did, they'd just get smashed by, the guard all at once. Also,
Killua is deliberately trying to save people from going to the capital. That's the other thing.
Because they're going to get the goal. Well, I mean, not only that, but anyone who survives is going to have their Nen awakened.
Gotcha.
I might have missed some of the details here, but I think like the original plan was going to sacrifice like 500 or 5,000 people, like just kind of as a necessary, like they can't do better than that. But then Killua and Gon kind of decided that they can save everybody or try to.
Yeah,
that's why that's why they went off on their own. Yeah,
right. So
yeah, they're trying to save as much people as they can. Meanwhile, the second part of the group is going to figure out how to get inside the castle.
Yeah.
All while Netero just sits on top of a mountain and gets ready for the big fight.
Netero is sitting on the top of the mountain being like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Black Clover. Black Clover episode 29, Path. This is a recap episode.
No, we did learn something important, though.
You did?
Gordon really likes his naked time with his friends.
We learned that Hot Topic's name is Gordon.
And that he keeps like
before.
a personal diary of all the things his friends do that who are not really his friends, but he thinks they're their friends.
And it's not
laughed out
stalkery at
loud.
all.
I laughed out loud when someone like mentioned in the thread like he's part of the harem, because he sort of is.
He literally mumbles his way through this episode, except the part where you can hear really, very clearly how much he loves being naked with his buddies.
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, oh, God, this is his focus episode, and it's...
Well, it really was. I mean, like, it was just like, it was a framing device for the flashback. So we got like a bit with Noel, and we got a bit with him, and a bit with a couple other people.
Was Noel just like, sulking, drinking wine?
Yes.
Like,
getting drunk.
Like 15 years old, just getting drunk.
Yeah, it's a magic world, whatever.
Yeah, magic wine.
It's like medieval, so...
Yeah, this is
whatever.
olden days or something. No, I mean, honestly, no joke. I don't like recap episodes typically, but the Gordon stuff kind of saved this for me because it was genuinely funny, and that character, I think, is supposed to be a joke character. I think it's hard to tell with this show, but I think it's supposed to be a joke character, and it works because he's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah,
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious to focus your recap episode on a guy you can't understand.
Well, yeah, they could have made this episode like Asta talking about his path on becoming the Wizard King, and that would have been tedious. Like, yeah, it feels like through Asta's viewpoint. Yeah.
And again, like I said, it wasn't just Gordon. Like everybody got like a moment to talk about what had happened. Like I think they even went back to the village, and the nun and everything was talking about Asta.
Yeah.
Remember these dipshits?
Yeah.
Also, that Klaus guy is totally part of the harem as well.
Yep. I actually forgot his name. Glasses.
It's also Klaus.
Wait, who are you talking about?
He's the...
You remember the glasses guy with the golden dawn who at first
Oh,
was
yes.
So Yuno's team is...
whole thing, and he was like, I want him.
Yeah, so Yuno's team is Yuno, Mimosa, who is like healing, also is part of the harem now, and Klaus.
Also, there's the girl in like the previous episode that like he went on a speed date with.
I bet we never see her again.
I know, but it doesn't matter. She's in the harem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Black Clover.
Black Clover. This was the second best episode of Black Clover.
And it was a recap. I will say that using that as the framing device did wind up putting more effort into a recap episode than is usually put into recap episodes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying.
Which is sad as fucking hell.
There was it also showed like a scene from the first episode, which actually had like good animation, and it just kind of just reminded me how terrible the animation's been for like the last dozen episodes. Like, hey, they actually had like some effort in like the very first one. Then it's been like really, really shit since then. So, yeah.
I feel like 50% of the effort and budget of this show go into the openings and endings.
Yeah,
only 50.
A lot.
I was thinking like 90.
Naruto Shippuden, episode 209, Donzo's right arm. Yep, that's the title of this episode. Should have been the title of last episode. Because, man, arm with eye in it.
All right, again, just to recap for people who don't know, I've never seen this. I don't know what's happening. Seda, do you know what happens? I think you do, right?
No. So, like, for a while, I had known Naruto, like, up, like, to, like, the pain arc. But, like, everything from then on, it's new to me. So.
Okay. Grex, B-dubs.
I've read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And B-dubs, you know what happens, of course.
Oh,
So,
I know what happens, baby.
so anyway, I'm gonna take. Okay, I like taking guesses because that's the only thing I can contribute to this.
Okay.
Is, so I don't know what his power is, but clearly they show that like every time he uses it, like one of the eyeballs closes, which I assume means that he has a limited number of uses of this ability. I'm calling it right now the I always win ability. Because I don't know what else is happening other than like that. He just every time Sasuke does something that impresses everyone, Danzo's eyes on his arm closes, and then suddenly he's just standing somewhere else unharmed.
He's like, aha, I'm over here now.
Yeah.
That didn't work at all.
That didn't work at all.
So this episode looked pretty nice. Like
Yeah.
one of those rare, like pretty well animated episodes.
Yeah, where they bothered to,
Yeah.
Every time they cut back to Naruto though, and everyone else, I was just like, "Oh God,
No,
go back to."
I want more of. I want more of the fight and Danzo with his magical arm full of eyeballs.
So
That's also not the same color as his actual skin. Like the arm is white instead of being skin colored.
Yeah, I think that works though.
Of course, it will be really disgustingly white and clammy.
No, there's actually another trick to the arm.
Oh boy. See,
Okay.
I've read the whole thing, but the details are lost on me.
Yeah, see, it's not just an arm filled with eyeballs. It gets better.
Okay, so again, like C. Kohler was saying, we don't know what happens after this. So like up to this point, Danzo has been around for a while, but he's always been like basically just kind of a butthead who like he didn't like the current Hokages and he wanted to be like they keep saying he wanted to be a little bit more old school, maybe a little bit more militaristic, like a little bit less peaceful, a little bit more focused on things like power and control. So like not necessarily a bad guy, but maybe not the most sympathetic person in the village. But we really we knew he was like he runs the Anbu, or I don't know if he runs or he communicates.
He's got like a subsection of Anbu that's loyal to him and only him.
Yeah. So like this is kind of like the first time we've really seen him in action here, and like he wants to kill basically Sasuke
and Toby
and the Uchiha because he thinks they're threats or whatever. But like at this point, at Danzo versus Sasuke, I think, are we supposed to be rooting for Danzo? Like, if it sort of feels
surely not.
Well, I sort of feel like he's got a point. Like Sasuke is just like
no. This shows and its creator and its true fans all bathe at the feet of Sasuke.
This show definitely assumes that you are totally down with what Sasuke is about.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the true fans of this show
think, man, this is so tragic that both Sasuke and Naruto are doing the right thing.
And also they're rooting for Naruto to save and Sasuke to bring him back on the right path. That's what they want. That's what I take out of it, I guess.
I know some people in the thread were kind of joking but serious, like Danzo is right because Danzo is not really speaking total nonsense here. He's just like, you are a threat, you are a menace, and I am going to stop you.
I
think that's what the same viewers of this show think too.
Yeah. The thing is,
obviously Danzo is kind of nuts with his.
The thing is, Danzo is also unambiguously completely evil too. So
he's also complete. He's also but he's also completely right because as we learn more in the series, it's kind of like, maybe Danzo had the right idea with that whole exterminate the Uchiha thing.
Danzo did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it kind of gets to the point where it's like, he was probably right.
But yeah, like, okay. Anyways, different topic. Hyperventilation.
Oh. Stupid sexy Sasuke making Naruto hyperventilate like that. I'm sorry, you just know that everyone saw this and immediately thought, because he thinks he's hot.
You know what I thought? I thought it wasn't he was hyperventilating. I thought he was It was like the end of the fucking prequels where like he was dying because of love. Like his heart was breaking, and so he was literally dying of a heart attack.
I've lost the will to live. Series over.
I mean, maybe he had a panic attack.
There is no way that this was intended to be a panic attack.
I mean, it could be. Oh no, I can't save Sasuke. I'm having a panic attack over it.
I feel like I can't give the author that much credit.
Yeah.
No, this wouldn't be credit at all. This would be something that stupid gave him a panic attack.
No, I feel like even that I can't.
Well, here's the thing.
It literally is just he thought about Sasuke so much he hyperventilated.
Well, here's the thing. So, like, panic attacks themselves in real life don't make sense. Like, I know someone who had a panic attack in an airport just because they were overwhelmed by the airport. Like, and they had a panic attack. They started freaking out for no reason. Like, it seemed really weird, and you really probably how do I put this? Like, I don't want to say normal, but that's not normal to have a panic attack in that situation. But but panic attacks aren't normal. But I think if we were to say that Naruto is having a panic attack and we're supposed to think of it as abnormal, is kind of giving Kishimoto too much credit. Like, we're supposed to like feel for him here, I guess.
To be fair, I mean, I've had a panic attack before, and I mean, this scene, like, as ridiculous as it is, because these characters are stupid. Yeah, like it isn't unrealistic, I guess, for the ever wonderful Naruto who cares so much about his friend now learns that he now has to go stop Sakura and also stop or potentially kill his lifelong friend to have a panic attack. Like, I get that. It's just I can't buy into it because, first of all, what has Sasuke ever done to earn it?
Right,
and that's the thing.
Yeah, it's just like it's not like at this point Naruto should be going, you know what? Gosh darn, you stupid Sasuke, and I gotta go stop you, you dumb asshole. Yeah. And he has like a panic attack because he can't envision himself, you know, killing his friend.
You stupid dumbass baka.
Yeah,
that would have been what if he actually like did that? That's how the series turned out. Like, what if he actually just like turned on him and?
I feel like the episode, the script, the outline for the script of this just says Naruto thinks about Sasuke and hyperventilates. Now that's.
I mean, he thinks about like having to go and do this thing. That's what makes him hyperventilate. He doesn't literally just imagine a naked Sasuke and hyperventilate.
I think that in a universe where Naruto Sasuke ships are so rampant, you can't do this and not have that be the first thing that comes into my mind.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Also, hyperventilation is not a thing that you usually see characters do.
That's kind of why I liked it. I mean, let me be careful. I don't want to say I liked it. That's why I kind of get what they were doing, and it was interesting. It's like, oh my gosh, our protagonist is just freaking having a panic attack and hyperventilating.
Again, I think it's just literally a hyperventilation with no actual.
What?
I think it was supposed to be some sort of panic attack. Now, that maybe it's vague in how you define a panic attack, but he was freaking out over this thought of having to potentially kill Sasuke.
It's either that or the worst acting of wanting to get out of doing this I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought about Sasuke. I can't breathe.
It's a sort of realization in a way.
Yeah.
Like, up to this point, he was so focused on saving Sasuke that he didn't even consider that maybe it can't be done. And I think this is maybe the first time he's actually like realizing that there is a chance he may not be able to save him. Like, how well that is actually executed here is arguable, but I think that's what it's supposed to be, is like a realization of sorts.
Maybe he's just broke up that Sakura didn't truly love him.
Like, wait, that was an act?
Maybe. Wait, I was just kidding about that being an act. I'm like really hoping later we can go, and no.
It was, quote, acting, unquote.
Anyway, the Toonami Escape Podcast live commenter Yudi Hoshi has told us in the thread that the narrator goes away until about halfway through part 4 and then comes back.
Oh, cool.
Huh.
Say what?
The narrator for
goes
JoJo.
away for
Okay.
like the first half of part 4 and then comes back for the last half.
But I like the narrator.
There's not a lot of narration to do in the first half of part 4. They kind of get away from narrating everything. That's not how you...
We get
Naruto
it.
is dumb.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, does anybody else have anything about Toonami this week?
No, I don't.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, B-dubs.
Okay.
Thank you, C. Kohler.
No problem.
Thank you, Seda Kohler dubs.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Seda, for being here. We'll see you guys next week for episode 112. Good night, everyone.